Hello, welcome to this video. Thank you so much for tuning in and sharing this now moment with myself and with one another. If you haven't seen these videos before, welcome. Welcome back if you have. My intention is benevolence for all, the highest levels of love, light, unity, and oneness. I'm obviously driving in my car, so I'm trying to be somewhat safe. I'm going to go into a little flow. Kind of see where it leads. Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. I am just laughing because I can't even describe in words the energies that I have been feeling the last few days. But I'm going to do my best. So we could say fire, boiling blood. We could say hi, hello. We could say definitely in flow. I wrote up on my journal like 5 pages that I am not sure if I'm going to post or not because they were so far out there. I'll probably post them at some point, but I was just laughing because the multidimensional flow that I was in yesterday was so strong and so all over the place. And I want to touch on that briefly. That's what I'm kind of where I'm going to start. I'm going to stop light now. So our intention is powerful. And when we intend to embody our highest aspect, our highest light, our rainbow frequencies, our crysted energies, our higher heart, connecting fully to source energy, creator of our soul, and all that is, embodying all that we are in the highest levels of love and benevolence and light, it really works. So don't give up. We are here. We are embodying these frequencies, and all of that nonsense, literally, going on in a flurry outside of us is really just nonsense. It is scrambling our senses. It creates distraction from what we really came here to do, or who we are here to express as the creators that we are. So that's one of the biggest messages that comes through. And yesterday my troubles did seem so far away because they are. Because yesterday was yesterday. And we are living in the now moment. And so we're being reminded, or I'm being reminded in this flow, to stay present. It isn't about who we once were, or it isn't about our stories, although our stories can be really helpful for us. And they certainly are part of why we are where we are and who we are today. But so I'm just gonna kind of spin with that a little bit, and I'm gonna go into a little light language. And as our concept of reality shifts, as our conceptualization, as our concept of reality, wow, so many plays on words there. I'm seeing a scepter. I'm seeing literally a conceptualization, like encapsulating what we've kept everything within a bubble. And that's our reality, our idea. The pros and cons that we see as our reality. These are words I've been playing with in my journaling the last few days. We are expanding our consciousness at a phenomenal rate. That which we are, oh, by the way, conception also has to do with like immaculate conception. It has to do with birth. Before I forget to share that, kind of important. As we expand out into a new frequency domain, it's all play on words. As we expand out into, do we remain within a contextual, so system, So are we keeping everything in context? And what are we comparing things to? What is our context? So this is a lot. We could dissect this into so many different ways, but I'm going to just keep playing. As our time bands are laid out before us, are spread out, I'm seeing them being pulled, like stretching. As time is stretched out before us, as we expand into our stretchy pants. Oh, so funny. They're showing us at a buffet, and they're like, put on your big girl pants. That's what I'm seeing. And they're my stretchy pants. For we are expanding into our light bodies. We are expanding into our light. Our light. So they're referencing this back to time. H-O-U-R. And light, the numbers about the speed of light. Our referencing system is out of contextual advancement. This advancement is being changed, and as we are, I'm hearing the mortar is changing, and I'm hearing that some are mortified. And this is a big play of words too. I'm seeing there's mortify, like more to P-H-I or pi. I always get those confused. Mortified. There's more to this than meets the eye. I'm seeing, I lost it. That's what happens when you're driving and have to focus on 10 different things. That's okay. So there's more to than meets the eye. The mortar and bricks that we've laid our foundation on is shifting. And they're literally showing me, have you guys ever seen the movie, I'm at a stoplight now, so I guess I can look at the camera. Have you guys ever seen the movie Doctor Strange? I've talked about it so many times. I highly recommend it because it's a really cool, first of all, it's just a fun Marvel Comics movie. It's probably my favorite because it reminds me of me, and it also reminds me of, like, we could call it soft disclosure, but basically how reality and time works. And a lot of comic books are really analogies is kind of, or metaphors, both, all of the above, to what reality, more so than what meets the eye, really, how it really operates. I'm not saying everything operates like a comic book. Thor, for example, could be a god, but it also is a reference to the power of lightning and the reference to the hammer and the metal being made out of the hammer, and that's a whole other ball of wax. But I'm just using that as an example. So in Doctor Strange, before I get too all over the place, there's all these gears and all of these concepts of time, and they're showing me the bricks and the mortar, and they can move buildings around, because I think that's Inception Point too. It's kind of the same idea. And they're asking me to play with Mortified again. So there's those that are going to be like really upset that this is changing the way that it is, and that our reality structure is not what we thought it was. But then there's going to be those that go, oh, there's more to this. And it's funny because I'm seeing a reference to, you guys, I'm not only seeing a reference to a cube, but yesterday I watched a video with Todd and Morgan, and I don't know the name of the beautiful light worker that was on there as a guest, but everything that they talked about on Symbology, I think it is, Soullogy, and there's another name for it as well, but those are the names you can Google on YouTube. And everything that they talked about was so synchronistic for me. And my sisters that I connect with a lot, they referred to the white dragon energy. They were referring to twin flames. They used words that I had literally written down on my 5-page journal that I did yesterday. Last night they used the same words. And I want to share too, synchronistically, my husband left and had some things to take care of, and And he was gone a lot longer than I had thought. And during that time frame, I took the opportunity to listen to this video, which was live. And I never do that. Very rarely, I shouldn't say never, but very rarely do I listen to live videos. Am I there right when it happens? So it was so synchronistic for me. And he also talked about this white energy. And I'm going to touch briefly on that. Because yesterday, this is something to talk about as far as one of the synchronicities that came up. I had been, or day before yesterday, I had been standing I had been sleeping. And I woke up and I went up and used the restroom and stood in the moonlight because I have a skylight in my bathroom. And it was I call it crackly. And I kept hearing all day, Cracklin' Rose, get on board. I know it's Cracklin' Rosie, but I always think of things as symbols. And for me, when I hear Cracklin' Rose, it is literally physics. It has to do with the shape of the rose. It has to do with the symbology. And it has to do with lightning. It has to do with the sizzle. It has to do with the diamond, being that it's sang by Neil Diamond, because I embody this diamond frequency. So I know when that song is playing in my head a lot, it is symbols for me to pay attention to all of these things. And these are the archaeology, so to speak, that is going on around me, or the energies that I am connecting into and that are connecting into me. And tuning into them, so to speak. Just like radio station in a song. And so we all have our own symbols. We have our own system. It might be an animal. It might be clouds in the sky. It might be a shape, color, whatever. The point is that I was standing in the bathroom and right in the center, and I was just staring at all of the plasma that was just all around me. And I see it, a lot, but there are times when it's much stronger, and I guess there might have been a portal, which we're constantly going through, opening portals. Whenever we share in these moments, we're opening a portal, so to speak, a network. When I have interactions with other starseeds through my channel, it's a portal. When I do sessions with other beings, it's a portal. So portals are different, but there's different types of portals, and there's different energies behind them, and that's a whole other video. But I literally felt like if I wanted to, I would levitate and be pulled through my skylight, out of my body, into space. And I remembered thinking it was a lucid dream, but I was awake. So this is a lucid dream for me in this now moment. And I remembered thinking, I have things to do on Earth still. I'm not going anywhere, but I can do this in dream time if I want. I don't choose to be beamed up, literally, and leave my body, unless I do it through meditation, right? But I literally felt like I was floating out of my body, and I closed my eyes and just allowed, and this just pure white, like a snow blizzard of white energy just filled me up. And my eyes were closed, and all I could see was white. And I've had that happen, but this was very different. This was a very specific, special frequency, and I just bathed in it. And the next morning, I reached out to my dream group that I connect with some other sisters. We've been doing this dream group for part of my this group of ladies who are my soul sisters, like literally my sisters from another dimension, from other lifetimes, and we've all connected and created our own portal with each other. And Kate and Candace, so Kate at Scientia, and then Candace, who she's my dear friend on Instagram, and Candace, she just changed her name. It was Love Essence, and she changed it back, and now I can't remember. I think it's Awakening to Love. Anyways, she had gone through this like whiteout driving, and it was really weird. It was like surreal. And I had heard earlier Into the Mystic. I'd been hearing that song as well. And then Kate had the same experience in her room that same night. And then, of course, yesterday I heard Todd also speaking about this experience with Morgan and his lovely guest. So I'm sharing this because it's so synchronistic. This is what happens. We're in this telepathic collective experience, and many of us are having these similar experiences. For example, the Uluru experience I had a few weeks back, right? Many people had this Uluru grandmother, Mother Earth connection. For me, it was very specific. Another one of my sisters had a dream about it. So you guys, this is going to start happening more and more. And that's another reason why the guides keep saying to talk about it. Because when we talk about these things with our brothers and sisters, by the way, back, the old energy was so we wouldn't feel crazy, so we wouldn't feel alone. And while that is still relevant for many people, it's also so that we are interpreting what this means for us and sharing in our experiences, because it's literally contagious, and it's a beautiful opportunity to see another person and go, oh, I see you. I've started to talk with my coworkers and friends I wouldn't usually talk with necessarily about this stuff, and we are finding a lot of similarities in our obviously before it used to be ascension symptoms, and now it's beyond those physical things that come up for us, right? Okay, what else? So, go back into flow, Carrie. This was flow. It's always in flow, in one flow or another, right? And I'm hearing back to time. So as we expand our concepts of time, and as we recognize that the brick and mortar effect, I'm hearing brick and mortar effect has changed. This no longer is the same building principle that we are unifying within. For our field has expanded, therefore the mathematics in which we express ourselves in must expand as well. Must change. Heave to, if you will. Bring in a new solar complex. Oh, before I forget, there was a shape that I learned about last night. I can't remember the name of it. And a minute ago, so funny, I'm seeing double 4s and double 8s. I dreamed last night about 4s, 6s, and 8s. Triple 4s, 6s, and 8s. Now I'm seeing double 4s and 8s. Anyways, so this particular shape was a diamond cube. And that's what I had seen just a minute ago driving. I'm seeing a reference to this diamond cube, and I'm also seeing a reference to a snake and a cross, which of course is pretty common, but this is having to do with this Kundalini rising. And I was seeing it separate from the cross. So I'm seeing it as a reference. That would be something I can play with a little bit in more depth. We're being invited to change our school of thought and recognize that school is out. The new session is at play. For as we play with our system, within systems, and unwrap the wires, that we sit within, that hold our infrastructure, so to speak, we allow ourselves to invite in the more complexities of, I'm hearing mathematics. And I'm seeing this as play on words as well. So this is obviously something that would be good for me to write up, as are many of the videos I've been posting. We line up, we line in, we frequent into a new dynamo, if you will, a new diamond. Oh. And as we release the struggle, as we let go and allow ourselves to unfold in this new triad, I'm seeing like D, diamond, double diamond, the he at the ak e, ok and a hek ak erehe, ok oro ak and the ak erehe, ak arhak ur. Tiger, tiger, burning bright, and shine bright like a diamond. So we play with words and invite in new categories to your... So I heard the word algebra, an algebraic equation, but then I hear, but I was seeing language and speech. Communication. So I know that there's a lot that I could play with here. So I'm hearing logistics and algorithms, and it all can be shape-shifted is basically what I'm hearing. You guys, apparently the future version of myself and the past version of myself at some point was not only a Shakespearean sort of writer, but also a scientist and mathematician. And I just laugh because it's pretty hilarious. My husband hears me say this sometimes and he just shakes his head. And you guys, I'm being guided to be patient with myself because a lot of this, and this is in reference to you guys as well, being patient with ourselves and being kind to ourselves is so important because we're on this ride and we are growing and expanding. And there is, you know, when a little baby, my friend Candace is experiencing this right now, you know, the baby's going through stuff and they're as a baby grows, they go through different stages, and we're in this stage where we're like toddlers. Not all of us, I'm just sharing this as a metaphor and an example of how I feel sometimes. Sometimes I feel like one of those wobbly toddlers that really wants to run but can't quite get there yet. And if you think about babies, they communicate. I had 3 of my neighbors' kids come up to me the other day, and they're probably the ages of 2, 4, and 5 or 6. And one of them came up to me and said, "Carrie, look and see how fast I can go." And he was so cute. And he's like, I go, "How fast do you think that was?" He's like, "Probably like 5 miles an hour." I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." And then, of course, the little brother had to do it as well, right? We all know how that works. If you have brothers or sisters, or if you have kids of your own. And he goes, Carrie, watch me. So then he did his little bike ride, and he got really fast. And he's like, I go, "How fast do you think that was?" He goes, "Really fast." Like, no concept of, and he was, you know, and then the little girl who's 2 literally came up to me and goes, like, that was her communication. She might have said Carrie. Okay, so I'm just parked for a second here. So even though, and then she proceeded to give me a hug. So out of those 3 kids, though, who are all amazingly adorable, the funny part is that the 2-year-old didn't know how to conceptualize and say everything that the 4-year-old, of course, didn't know exactly how to say what the 5-year-old did or whatever. He knew the speed. He was very analytical about everything. It was just fun to watch them interact. And the little girl, who's 2, is probably seeing a lot more stuff than the other 2 are, but she can't put it into words. And her version was, you know, whatever. I feel like Zoolander by saying that. And then she proceeded to give me a hug, which of course encompasses so much more than words, right? But we're toddlers sometimes, and it's hard for us to describe. And how frustrating is that? You know, when you have a kid, when you're around a kid or a baby who really wants to run or really wants to open something up and they just can't figure out how to do it, yet they, so we're kind of at that stage sometimes. And it's really important for us to be patient because we're growing and there are growing pains and there's moments of discomfort and there's moments of just not knowing what the heck is going on. But trusting that as everything is changing and as all of this information unfolds, as we unfold into this higher version of ourselves, trusting that we are learning more, not only about ourselves, perhaps about our feelings, perhaps about our emotions, and maybe even about how the world works. And this is all from our perspective. It's old school. It's no longer, this is the way things are. It isn't brick and mortar anymore. In fact, the architecture, the new architecture is living biology, living architecture. It isn't made out of dead materials. And life is constantly evolving and constantly growing. So I'm going to end on that note because I know I could go back into flow about time, but everything is shifting. The mechanisms and how we tell time is shifting. What we're comparing things to, we're being invited not to compare things to what we did a few years ago, or why isn't this working for me anymore? It's okay to ask ourselves why it isn't working for us anymore. But recognize, because that's not the us anymore. That person that it worked for before no longer exists. Because we are existential. We are, being asked to play with that word, right? Existential. We're encompassing this all in this existence, in this particular skin suit technology, however you want to call it. So I'm being guided to share a little bit more light language. I thought I was done, and then I'm going to end. So I invite you to close your eyes. And they're kind of showing me as the waves rise and fall, as your chest rises and falls with the incoming breath, the incoming tides that wash clean all that was once. They're playing with that once was. We are being invited to recognize that we are the storm. We are the eye of the storm. We are the eye of the needle point thread in which we point our cursor directs our attention, directs our intention, inner technician, working towards a co-creative, coherent, time-band connection. The more we stretch our imaginations, the more we stretch they're showing me like doctrines, like take the old concepts and then like play with them like Play-Doh. I was going to say I thought this was going to be light language, and then I thought that in my mind, and then I heard this is light language. Feel the energy that is transmitting through the tones, the tongue, the throat. The energy centers that are being expressed, are being opened, are being activated. The renewal is constant. The renewal is a constant. A constant. Another math term. We are threading through you. I need you. What is that? The Blues Brothers. I think that's hilarious because I get that reference to the Blu-ray. I'm hearing jump. what's that song? Beetlejuice. I love that song. Okay, I believe you. Jump in the line. So they're saying jump timelines. Like, jump. Don't be afraid. You don't like what's going on in your reality. They're showing me shift it. And they're showing me looking at the clock. It's time to make choices that are going to empower our empathic state. So they're playing with that word. Empower our own path, our in path, not what we're feeling from everybody else. Go in to find our own path and let go of that old concept of being an empath. Like am being affected by what everybody else is doing. That is something that can be corrected. That is something that can be utilized for, they're showing me that was training wheels, and it's time to take those training wheels off, because as we do that, we empower ourselves to empower others. And as we come into our own power, we recognize that all of those particular belief systems or sets of rules are now being discounted. So I'm seeing like when you discount something, not just discounted like it doesn't count. It did at one time, but it doesn't anymore. And they're showing me to play with this entire sentence. Like, it's being discounted. The value system isn't adding up anymore. The numbers aren't adding up anymore. They're showing me this reference as to the Bible, Numbers, right? That's a book in the Bible. That even that needs to be replayed and listened to from a different angle. They're showing me that that empathic, which is we're all empaths. Let's face it, we all have that. How do we use that as our empowerment, though? So they're not knocking this term. They're just sharing, expand on that term. Let's not get stuck in the concept of, I can't do this because I'm an empath. It's too much for me. And while that may be true at one stage in our lives, and that's okay, that's great, there are those that are ready to get those training wheels taken off and to recognize that in this path that we are choosing to walk, we are making our own, they're showing me making our own ice cream, our own swirls, our energy circles, our own vibration. So they're showing me like snow and ice and the ice crystals. And when I drop my ice crystal into the sea of ice crystals, I am a snowflake. And this adds to the vibration of the snowflakes that are all around me. And as we melt together, we are still not losing our individual soul codes. Those are ours to utilize as keys and access points to our own accessibility. And as we recognize all of this, and you guys, I'll have to write this up and really expand on it a little bit, because I know some of this is very coded. But essentially, we hold these within us, and as we melt and flow and